Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo!
There are athletes and then there are game changers. The ones who force you to pause, to rethink, to watch in disbelief. Right now in women's basketball, one name eclipses them all. Caitlin Clark. From sold-out arenas to social media firestorms, from highlight reels to NBA legends picking up their phones just to say she's different. Clark isn't just scoring points. She's rewriting the rules, breaking records, and making a league reckon with the impossible. And when Shaquille O'Neal himself calls her the truth on a Rivals podcast, you realize this isn't hype. This is history in motion. The question isn't if she's good, it's how far can she push the game before it bends to her will. Skills that redefine the game. Start with basketball because everything else, the cultural impact, the money, where's the debates? It all flows from one thing. Caitlin Clark is absurdly good at basketball. And not just good for a rookie, good.
Clark, a deep burst!
Triple-double for a rookie. Caitlin Clark has it!
Not good for women's basketball. Good. She's doing things on a court that make people stop mid-scroll and rewatch the clip 3 times because they can't believe the range, the vision, the audacity. Start with the shooting. The girl pulls up from 28 foot like she's standing at the free throw line. Logo threes, deep step backs, off the dribble pull-ups with defenders draped on her.
She's a beast! Clark from the logo! She gets it out of that left hand.
During her rookie WNBA season, she drained 122 three-pointers, more than any rookie in league history and the second most anyone has ever hit in a single WNBA season period. She finished just 6 threes behind Sabrina Ionescu's all-time record. As a rookie, think about that. And it's not just the volume, it's the degree of difficulty. There was a game against the Washington Mystics where she lit up Capital One Arena for 7 three-pointers and 30 points. 7 threes. She tied the WNBA rookie record for threes in a single game. And she did it in front of over 20,000 fans who packed a venue that hadn't seen a crowd like that for women's basketball in almost 2 decades. Her average shot distance that night was 24 feet, the longest by any player in the entire WNBA that season. But here's what separates Clark from just being a great shooter. She might be an even better passer. She set the WNBA single-season assist record with 337 assists. Not the rookie record, the all-time record. She averaged 8. For assists per game, the highest in the league, and the 5th highest single-season average in WNBA history. She broke the single-game assist record with 19 assists against the Dallas Wings, a number so ridiculous that veteran point guards spent entire careers never touching it. She scored or assisted on 66 points that night, shattering Diana Taurasi's record for points produced in a game. 19 assists in 1 game. Let that number breathe for a second. That's 19 perfect decisions. 19 moments where she saw a window that nobody else in the arena saw and delivered the ball right through it. She also became the first rookie in WNBA history to record a triple-double.
Clark connects! The first logo bomb of the season from Caitlin Clark.
Not once, but twice. The first came against the New York Liberty. 19 points, 12 rebounds, 13 assists. Nobody had ever done it in the entire history of the league. No rookie had put up those numbers in a single game. Clark did it against one of the best teams in the conference. Her basketball IQ is what ties everything together. Watch her film, and you'll see the subtle stuff. The way she uses ball fakes to freeze help defenders for an extra half second before threading a skip pass. The way she reads the double team a step early and finds the shooter before the trap closes. The way she changes speed through the pick and roll to manipulate the defense into making the wrong choice. Fans saw it, the basketball community saw it, and eventually the legends of the game had to say it out loud. Shaka calls Caitlin Clark the truth. This was the moment that shifted everything. Picture the scene. Shaquille O'Neal is sitting on Angel Reese's Unapologetically Angel podcast. Ree is the host. This is her show. She and Shaq go way back. He's a fellow LSU alum. A mentor, someone who championed her career and helped bring her to Reebok. If anyone was going to be in Reese's corner, it was Shaq. And then Shaq asked the question that changed the whole energy of the room. Why do you think people love Caitlin Clark? You could feel the shift. Reese tried to keep it simple. She said it was the logo threes, the deep shooting. That's what people loved.
Clark, there she goes again. Yes!
You have to guard Caitlin Clark even before she crosses half court.
That's it. But Shaq wasn't having it. He leaned in and started building a case that went way beyond shooting. He compared Clark to Steph Curry, not casually, not as a throwaway line, but as a genuine basketball comparison. He talked about how Curry doesn't have LeBron's muscles, doesn't look like a traditional NBA superstar, but he does things on the court that nobody has ever done before. And then Shaq pivoted to Clark and said the same exact thing applies. She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. And then came the money line, the one that bounced around every basketball corner of the internet for days. Shaq admitted he used to be a hater. He said because of his loyalty to LSU, because of his connection to Ree, he'd watch Clark play and think she wouldn't make the shot. But she did again and again and again. If I say 10 times you're not going to hit that shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. That's not a media talking head trying to generate clicks. That's a 4-time NBA champion.
One of the all-time great NBA players, 4-time NBA champion, 3-time Finals MVP, and host of the big podcast.
A guy who has been around basketball excellence his entire life, looking at a 22-year-old woman and saying, "I've never seen this before. She's the real deal." And the internet went wild. Fans flooded the comments. Shaq just gave Caitlin Clark flowers on Angel Reese's own podcast. Others joked about how Clark's name comes up on every single episode of Reese's show, whether she's the topic or not. One comment that kept getting liked was, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Caitlin Clark Show. I'm your host, Angel Reese." But underneath the jokes, there was a real shift happening. When someone with Shaq's credibility, someone who started as a self-admitted doubter, publicly declares a player is doing things the sport has never seen, that's not hype. That's history. Recognizing itself. Stephen A. Smith had been vocal about the treatment Clark was receiving.
I just want to pitch this to everyone. Imagine Caitlin joining this team and spending time on the bench.
Mossy calling on the league to protect its biggest star and comparing her situation to how the NBA once had to figure out how to handle Michael Jordan. He argued that Clark's impact on the league's viewership and revenue meant the WNBA had a responsibility to ensure she could play without being physically targeted every single night. The conversation around Clark had moved from can she play at this level to how far can she take this thing, and the legends were already answering as far as she wants to go. The work behind the records. Talent gets you in the door. Work keeps you in the building. And this is the part of Caitlin Clark's story that doesn't trend on social media, but matters more than any highlight clip. Because the truth is, the WNBA didn't roll out a welcome mat for her. They tried to break her.
Obviously, it was a big adjustment going from college to the professional level. There's a lot of areas that you have to learn, and you have to learn very quickly.
Nishi started her rookie season playing 11 games in 20 days. 11. She was dealing with the fastest, most physical competition she'd ever faced, while also navigating a media circus that no athlete in women's basketball had ever experienced. Her team started 1-8. She turned the ball over 10 times in her very first game. She had a game where she scored 3 points, and some people called it exactly what they wanted to see. Proof that the hype was overblown. Proof that college production doesn't translate. Proof that she was all sizzle and no steak. But here's the difference between Caitlin Clark and the skeptics who doubted her. The skeptics stopped watching after those early games. Clark kept working. She spent the season adjusting her game in real time, learning which passes worked at the professional level, figuring out which teammates wanted the ball where, understanding how to navigate double teams a step earlier, recognizing when to push the tempo and when to slow the whole thing down. When the Olympic break came, a break that stung because Clark was controversially left off the Team USA roster, she didn't mope. She used the time to reset, to recharge, to come back sharper. In her first 10 games after the break, she averaged 24. 7 points and 9. 3 assists.
Clark catch and shoot, hits a three.
So good on that pin down action.
The Fever went 8-2. That stretch included their first 5-game winning streak since 2015. She shot 43, 5 from the floor and 37 from 3 on significantly higher volume. She was a completely different player, more patient, more decisive, more lethal. For the full season after the break, she averaged 23, 1 points per game. If you projected that number across a full season, it would have been second in the entire league behind only A.A. Wilson. She didn't just find her footing. She went supernova. And the growth wasn't just statistical. Watch the film from August and September compared to May. In May, she was reacting to the defense. By the end of the season, she was dictating to it. She controlled the tempo. She orchestrated the offense. She made Kelsey Mitchell cut harder, made Aaliyah Boston flash to better spots, made the entire team play with more confidence because their 22-year-old point guard believed in all of them. That transformation doesn't happen without obsessive work, without film study, without extra reps, without the kind of competitive drive that refuses to let a rough start become the whole story. And her team went from winning 13 games the year before to making the playoffs. She finished the season averaging 19, 2 points, 8, 4 and 4 assists and 5, 7 rebounds while shooting over 90 from the free throw line. She won Rookie of the Year with 66 out of 67 votes.
When I called your name to the stage as the #1 pick in this year's draft, you held the Indiana Fever jersey for the first time.
She made the All-WNBA first team, the first rookie to do that since Candace Parker in 2008. None of that is talent alone. That's talent married to the kind of work ethic that refuses to let anything be left on the table. Marketability and the Caitlin Clark effect. Let's talk about money because the numbers off the court are just as staggering as the ones on it. Caitlin Clark signed an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike, the richest sponsorship contract in the history of women's basketball. She has endorsements with Wilson, State Farm, Gatorade, and a growing list of brands that want their name next to hers. She appeared on Saturday Night Live.
WNBA draft. The WNBA draft is this Monday, and Iowa star Caitlin Clark is expected to be the #1 pick.
Time magazine named her Athlete of the Year. The AP named her Female Athlete of the Year. But her individual endorsements are just the tip of the iceberg. The real story is what she's done for the entire league. An economist from Indiana University determined that Caitlin Clark was responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity in her rookie season. More than a quarter of the league's total revenue, ticket sales, merchandise, television deals was attributable to one player. Her potential economic impact on the league going forward has been estimated at figures approaching $1 billion. Chun Fever's home attendance went from averaging around 4,000 fans per game in 2023 to over 17,000 in 2024, an all-time WNBA record. They drew more fans per home game than the Indiana Pacers, the NBA team that shares their arena. WNBA attendance across the entire league when Clark was playing was 105 higher than games she wasn't in. On the road, opponent home attendance jumped 87 when the Fever came to town. For different teams, Washington, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles moved their home games against the Fever to larger NBA arenas because they couldn't handle the ticket demand in their regular venues. The Las Vegas Aces moved a regular season game from their 12,000-seat arena to T-Mobile Arena. And they sold more tickets for that single game than they had for Games 1 and 2 of the previous WNBA Finals combined. 6 different television networks recorded their most-watched WNBA game ever during Clark's rookie season. ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, CBS, IN, and N80V. The Fever's regular season finale drew a record crowd. WNBA games average 32 million viewers across broadcast networks, nearly tripling the previous season's average. The 2024 WNBA draft drew 45 million viewers, a record.
First player in Division I history, men's or women's, with 3,000 points and 1,000 assists. She makes the right reads.
Over half of all WNBA games were sellouts. A 156 increase from the year before. Arenas were at 94 capacity league-wide. Merchandise sales across the league increased by 500. Let that number sink in. 500. And here's the stat that really puts it all into perspective. Of the 24 WNBA-related broadcasts that drew at least 1 million television viewers in 2024, 21 of them involve Caitlin Clark. This is what people mean when they talk about the Caitlin Clark effect. It's not a marketing slogan. It's a measurable economic phenomenon. She didn't just raise the profile of the Indiana Fever. She lifted every single team's bottom line. She made women's basketball must-see television for millions of people who had never watched a WNBA game before. Her own agent told ESPN that it would be impossible to pay Clark what she's actually worth to the league. She earned $76,535 as a rookie. Her actual value to the WNBA's ecosystem was, by any honest calculation, hundreds of millions of dollars. Honored of its collective bargaining agreement and of its collective bargaining agreement in part because of the revenue Clark helped generate. And the expectation is that the next deal will mean significantly higher salaries for everyone. Clark's dominance isn't just making her rich, it's making the entire league richer. Breaking records, breaking norms. Step back from the stats and the money for a second and ask the bigger question. What does Caitlin Clark actually mean for the sport? Because there's a before Clark and an after Clark in women's basketball. And we're living in the after right now.
The WNBA draft is this Monday, and Iowa star Caitlin Clark is expected to be the #1 pick. Here to comment is Caitlin Clark.
Before Clark, the WNBA was a league that struggled for attention. Talented players, incredible players like Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Candace Parker, Kendana Terasi, competed at the highest level for years without ever seeing the kind of mainstream coverage that Clark generated in her first month as a professional. Arenas were half empty. Television deals were modest. The gap between the WNBA and the NBA in terms of revenue and visibility felt permanent. Clark didn't single-handedly close that gap, but she kicked the door open wide enough that it can never fully close again. She proved that women's basketball packaged around the right kind of transcendent talent can compete for mainstream sports attention. She proved that fans will show up.
Caitlin Clark experience meant for some lucky fans.
We'll tune in. We'll buy jerseys. We'll pack 20,000-seat arenas if you give them a reason to. And the ripple effects go way beyond the current season. Young girls across the country are watching Clark pull up from the logo and thinking, shouldn't I want to do that? They're watching her thread a no-look pass through traffic and falling in love with the game the same way kids fell in love with basketball watching Curry, watching Magic, watching LeBron. Iowa's women's basketball program sold out their season tickets for the year after Clark left.
A sold-out crowd in Evanston tonight for the Northwestern women's basketball game against the Iowa Hawkeyes.
She wasn't even on the team anymore, and the interest she created outlasted her presence. That's not fandom. That's cultural impact. That's a generational shift in how people view women's sports. The Indiana Fever are building a $78 million practice facility solely for the women's team, in large part because of the revenue and attention Clark has brought to the franchise. Tourism in Indianapolis spikes on Fever game weekends. A Visit Indy reported that web traffic to their Fever-related pages increased by 501 after Clark was drafted. This is what a transformational player looks like. Not just someone who fills up stat sheets, but someone who fills up arenas, bank accounts, television screens, and the imaginations of an entire generation of young athletes who now see women's professional basketball as something worth aspiring to. Clark finished 4th in MVP voting as a rookie. She made the All-Star team. She made the All-WNBA first team. She became the first WNBA or NBA rookie since Michael Jordan to average 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block in a playoff series. Michael Jordan, the only comparable name for a 22-year-old in her first professional season. And the scariest part for the rest of the league, a learning curve flattens and Caitlin Clark learning curve flattens and Caitlin Clark is just playing. What happens in year 2, year 3, year 5? That's the question that should keep every front office in the WNBA up at night. And it's the question that should have every basketball fan in the world locked in. Caitlin Clark has rewritten the rules, shattered expectations, and left every arena, every analyst, every legend, every fan questioning what comes next. Records are falling, defenses are scrambling, and the league is chasing shadows she's already left behind. And yet, for all the points, all the highlights, all the milestones, the real story hasn't been fully told. How far can she push the game before it changes forever? How high can the ceiling go when the world is only beginning to understand what she's capable of? One thing is certain, this isn't the end. It's just the opening act. Just the opening act. Just the opening act.